Hi, my name is Jeremiah Shattuck. I served with the United States Marine Corps. I joined April 18th of 2000 and was discharged July 1st of 2005. I served in the 6th Air Support Battalion, 1st MARDIV, and was deployed in Operation Iraqi Freedom, January of 2003. And during that time, I worked as a 3521 organizational maintenance mechanic and also received a second B billet for nuclear biochemical survey engineer. Absolutely. One of the things that was most noticeable was always the constant burn pit, fire, trash, smoldering smoke. We always had that constant. Also, we were responsible for taking care of our own fecal matter. That was always noticeable and always present. Besides munition fires from small arms, 50 cals, during the first initial air missile war, I served as a nuclear biochemical survey engineer. I went out to certain blast sites. I did have a positive reading with my team on sarin gas at one point. There are things such as radiological, heavy metal. I don't know all the chemical components, but from these explosives, during my time, I was in and out of certain vehicles that had been hit by enemy fire and I'd say American forces, like A-10 rounds into enemy tanks and different vehicles. I was responsible for cleaning up a lot of collateral damage, such as bulldozing people, equipment. Then just receiving the smallpox and biothrax vaccine during deployment, that made me deathly ill. It made 160 Marines deathly ill for a week. And there have been multiple things I experienced, even oil field on fire. I've had urine tests done on environmental toxins, and they have found fuel, explosives, rubber, plastic inside my urine, including cesium and thallium and tungsten and lead, nickel, mercury, cadmium. All things that are found in an environmental in the environment from war. So the first time I noticed there was something wrong was when I was in Iraq in theater. I'd say about a good 5 weeks. The thing is, I wasn't properly taken care of when I first got home from Iraq from being sick, because I wasn't showing ill signs except for just physical symptoms. By May, I was sick. I started developing pustules. It was more like the skin was having some type of response. I went to the corpsman a few times. I went to the medic. I received Motrin, antifungal creams, antibiotics. And I kept going, and every day putting on my boots, going and doing the mission. And it got to a point where the flesh was coming off with my socks, and I got to a point where I could no longer put on my shoes because I barely had any flesh, like real skin on my feet. It was completely blistered and raw, wet rash. That's when I was not sick physically, but like internally, but externally wounded. From day one, my Gunny V, was informed that Shattuck could no longer go on any missions and needed to be sent to medical. So he called for a medevac. I was taken out of Iraq and sent to Kuwait, and I waited for 3 weeks before my whole unit retrograded. I laid in a cot with my legs bandaged and couldn't do anything. I had people bring me chow. I had help to get to the bathroom. I sat there, and they told me that they were, instead of sending me anywhere, they were just going to have me wait until my unit returned, and I could go home with my unit since they were retrograding. When we got to the United States, literally 4 days from combat, I was sitting in my mom's living room. We're supposed to go through, I guess, like a 14-day decompression. It did not happen. Medical evaluation did not happen. We signed some papers. We got on the bus the next day. We got dismissed for 96. And then it was that 4th of July weekend, and then we came back, and literally The second day from being back with company formation, they had done a switch of command, and I was sitting in front of the new first sergeant because he said he was going to interview every single one of us personally. He asked me why was I a fucking broke dick, and I was like kind of like, whoa. And then he's like, why are you wearing tampons on your feet and not properly bloused and proper like a Marine earning his paycheck that his taxpayer dollars are paying for? I was already intimidated. It's a first sergeant. I was only a corporal. I was wounded already. I was scared. The fact that I was being treated like that, and I had to bring something very confidential. I presented the whole thing about me doing the NBC out there and what I saw and what I went through. And then he literally reached behind him and grabbed the UCMJ off of the shelf and read me my rights, had me escorted out of my room, put in a hotel room. It was a DoubleTree hotel room in Bakersfield, California, away from everything, and put me there with a guard outside my door for 24/7 for 1 month. I was not allowed to go anywhere, talk to anyone, see anyone. I was not allowed to leave. I was told is I could have fucked up and killed everybody because if I was contaminated, then I just could have destroyed everything here. If I don't obey and I talk to anyone or go anywhere, anything, I'd be thrown in fucking Fort Leavenworth the rest of my goddamn life. I was scared shitless, and I didn't know what to do. And not just that, I'm having freaking all kinds of nightmares because I just got off the battlefield. No psychiatric care, no medical care, no attention. I laid there for a month, and I got worse. I started gaining weight. I got red rashed everywhere, hypertensive. This was these conditions that came. And I did have to go see a doctor, so they allowed me to go see somebody. I finally asked my gunny, I told him I needed to see a psych because I was having a hard time. I didn't even know how I could go to somebody, a superior, and say I was having a hard time. I didn't even know I could say, hey, you know what? I need help. I'm going to hurt myself. I don't know. I'm confused. I couldn't communicate that because it was like, if I do, what's going to happen to me? I finally got to see a psychologist and a psychiatrist. They got me some medication. That really affected me in a way, and then they adjusted the medication. But for 2 years, I was able to maintain on medical with them because I was being treated with my mental health and emotional state that the military never supported. And it was able to allow me to then still interact with the military. The doctors didn't know how to help me because they were civilian. They told me I had rights, and they told me I was a human being. And one day, someone came back to my unit, and this person was sexually offended and took action against the unit. But since she knew about legality and how she got attention was called request mask. She's like, Shattuck, you need to request mask and get like the IG involved now. You're being treated unfairly. This is totally illegal. Even in the military, it's illegal. I requested mass, and literally the next day I was discharged. This is after almost 2.5 years on medical hold. It took a year to get my DD-214 from my unit because once they knew what happened and I kind of complained how I wasn't treated, to then go to the VA, to then just be told, going through the Gulf War registry, that I had 6 to 10 years to live by a doctor after she saw an MRI of my lungs, the holes in there from, she says, phosphorus fumes, contamination from all kinds of stuff, all my extremities, both my arms amputated, both my legs almost amputated, all at risk due to infection. Jason Sobel versus the Armed Forces. When I was discharged, there was 160 Marines discharged the same day, same percentage. What we think it was, since we were there in the office, it was, a couple of Lance corporals just went 10% down the board, was done for the day. I signed up for it, and this is because I was 10% mental health, and I'm dying. Literally, like, I think even had my arm or my legs, that's what it was, because it was back in 2010, 11. And it was to go back to increase and have a revaluation for discharge. They lost that case. and then they changed my 10% mental health to 10% physical. And then there's a clause in there saying that since we lost the suit, we can no longer ever go back to take a case against the government, to have our thing reevaluated. Basically, they just screwed us and screwed us again. And I think all these guys that were getting out at the same time all had problems because we were reporting certain things. Like I had freaking a biological chemical problem and no one wanted to freaking acknowledge it. And when I was talking about how dead goats were floating down the river, the Euphrates River, and everything was turned inside out that once lived, this was not caused by too much sun exposure or this was not caused by small ammunition fire or even a big bomb. A 500-pounder did not affect these things. This was all biological. I'm trying to tell the doctors, and now my skin's rotting off. I don't know who was all involved in that 160 Marines or whatever that got discharged the same way, but we all lost, and we all got screwed out of being able to get properly discharged. And I should have got a medical insurance, a medical discharge, medical separation right out of the military, because there was no point in me ever getting out. I loved my Marine Corps. I couldn't wait to be in charge of a whole division one day. Like, that was my dream. I wanted to, like, lead and hoorah. And I had to leave, and it broke my heart. And to be denied all the truth that I'm speaking and what I witnessed and was even paid to do and trained to do was just, like, not even valid. And it wasn't acknowledged. And every day I tell the same story. If I sit in front of someone, this is what I went through. I didn't make it up. There's all the other Marines that carried me off the field, helped bandage my feet, opened my mail for me, helped me shower, helped me, help me to get to the bar too. I have an SSDI claim, which is denied. It's sitting in the Ninth Circuit Court. I cannot work. I cannot go out in the sun. I cannot use my hands. My hands can't even touch paper bags. I just wrote Trump recently. The White House, I guess, responded. Then I just got a letter back last week saying that, no, we're denying it. And what I can do is refile for a new one that's a different start date. And what that does is they say, if I do that, then they approve that because I am disabled. They don't have to give me the back pay of $60,000 because it goes all the way back to 2013. I have to wait until I get all the proper paperwork, and then I can finally get treated, the right medication, the right treatments, the right service connection to then have a caregiver help me, bandage myself or put my injections in. Or it's hell because I'm now taking my own medical in my care. I'm sometimes 5 times a day putting a needle in me, injecting different stuff into me, and I have like handfuls of pills I have to take. If you're just saying, what do I need? I need finances. I know that once I can get rid of the symptoms, which I've been told by the doctors, a few of them, if I can get the contamination out and I don't let cancer set in or any other disease set in, I'll be able to walk away from this. I need support, and the support would be, the resources and funding I need to pay for the treatments to get clean. I need a platoon. I need a company. I need a company who are on board that can do multiple different things, and we all stick together and make something work. I want to say I want my country to heal. That's what I want the most. I want resources for myself so then I can help others heal.
Hello, I'm Josh Washburn. I'm sponsoring Jeremiah Shattuck. I'm a veteran and an owner of a small business called A-Quad General Contracting. I served in Iraq, and guys I served with are having weird skin issues and having their nails fall out. We need to help these guys out here, then the war isn't over.